Hey friends, welcome to the 30th episode of the Sunday Knitting Society podcast. My name is Chelsea and I'm a knitter in Oklahoma City. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome back. I hope you guys have had a really good couple weeks. We were cold, then we got warm. We're starting to get kind of cold, but it's like fall cold. So it's nice. My brain just went blank. Yeah, I hope you guys have gotten lots of knitting time in the last couple weeks. I've definitely gotten a lot of knitting. And it's like, I tried so hard not to do this, but I've kind of ended up with deadlines. So I have like two deadlines. But they're kind of fluid. Well, one of them I have to have done by the 18th, but the rest are kind of, they're a little fluid, so it's okay. I did a run this morning. It was cold. It was cold and windy. Like, I swear we were getting 20-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe even more. And it, of course, I don't know if anybody else who runs or cycles or whatever, I swear, the wind changes, but it waits until you turn around. So it's against you, and you're like, oh, when I turn around, this is going to be so nice. And you turn around, and it turns. And now it's against you again. So I had that. But I did good. I have 3 long runs left before the marathon weekend, which I'm so excited about. We've got our hotel. So those of you who don't know, I am doing the Dopey Challenge at Disney World. I convinced a friend of mine to do this with me, and she's a very good runner. I was not at the time. I've run 2 marathons before. I've done a few, I think I've done 3 or 4 half marathons. But I hadn't run in 2 years. I started running in January this year because I missed it. And when we signed up for the Dopey Challenge, I could only run 2 miles at the time. So the Dopey Challenge is a 4-day race. So you do a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon in that order. And I like a challenge, especially if it's ridiculous. And this felt like a ridiculous challenge. And it is. So, but then it also kind of felt like, okay, that what's the worst race I'm going to do there? It's going to be the marathon. And so if I can get myself to the point of being able to run a marathon, I can do the other ones. And then I, was also kind of thinking, at that point, a 5K and a 10K are nothing. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. So we have, this is a friend I went to Disney World with before, and we have a lot of fun together. So she's a way faster runner than I am, so she's gonna smoke me, which is totally fine. I actually find it funny. My first marathon I did, I actually, in hindsight, did very well for me, but I was disappointed when I finished. Like, I was proud of myself, but I wanted to be able to run faster, and so I took some time off from running. And then a few years later, I was like, okay, I'm going to beat it. I'm going to do better. And I did much slower. And so it's kind of like, I give up. I hate running. I don't want to do this anymore. And then this time around, I was like, ooh, I'm going to beat it. I'm not. I'm so slow. But I enjoy it. And honestly, to me, that's what matters. So I think I have learned, again, I feel like I learn this every time I train for a marathon. I learned that I don't enjoy marathons. That the distance is a little bit beyond what's fun. Once you get past 13 miles, really once you get past like 15 miles, it's just not enjoyable for me. And so, yeah. But yeah, so I have, next weekend I'm running 18 miles, and then I have 2 20-mile runs in December. And I've got some shorter runs mixed in there, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. So anyway, gotta have my coffee. So let's talk about what I'm wearing. This is not the first time I've worn this in total, but it's the first time, like this is the first season I've gotten to wear this. So this is my Louvre sweater, which is this pattern by PetiteKnit. It is knit in Sonder yarn Sunday DK. I think it was DK. It is the ecru base, and it's an egg name. I think it was Over Easy was the name. I knit this like spring, summer, I think. But by the time I finished it, it was way too hot to wear sweaters. And so it has just sat patiently waiting. And last week we had one day where the high was like 40. My office at work has 2 walls of windows, so it doesn't insulate super well. And I have a little space heater, but it was like, I'm gonna be cold. So I wore this to work, and it was I was really worried about this neckline because I have a very sensitive neck. I also don't like having things really close to my neck. Sorry, last video I was watching it back and I was like, stop slouching. Like, just sit up straight. I looked like I was like hunched over. I probably was. But yeah, I don't like having things against my neck. I don't generally like turtlenecks unless they're really loose. And so this yarn is soft, but it has just a little bit of a bite to it. And so I was worried that having this kind of mock neck up against my neck was going to be, I wasn't going to be able to tolerate it. So I'd actually like even looked into like folding it down. But I made sure I made it really loose because I wanted it to not strangle me. And it doesn't. And I love it. It actually fits perfectly. It like keeps you warm without itching, which is great. And I just like the cheerful color. I feel like it's a good color for me, but it's also just a good color when everything is brown and gray in the winter. So I think that'll be fun. And I have another sweater quantity of this yarn in Wildwood. It's right here. And I'm on the fence on what to do with this. I was going to make a stick season sweater by Rebecca Clow because I think this would make a really good stick season. But I bought yarn. I did a pre-order from Explore Knits. I actually was at work. I was like, I am not buying yarn. I'm not buying yarn. I'll look, but I'm not buying. I do not need to purchase any yarn. I have yarn at home. I can make this sweater in. And then I think the update for me, it went up at 1, but I got confused on the time change and thought it went up at 11. And I found myself at 11 just refreshing the page. And I was like, all right, let's just be honest with ourselves. You're going to buy yarn. And I did. And I got the one, it's called Fur, and it's very similar to this color. So you can't have 2 green stick seasons. So I've had other ideas about what to do with this, but it may just kind of back burner for a little bit while I decide. So anyway, I kind of got ahead of myself. But yeah, so this yarn is a delight to knit with. It is super cozy and warm. It is lightweight, so this sweater does not feel heavy. Like I said, it has just a little toothiness to it, so it's not perfect. It's not like cashmere soft, but it is still like I can wear this against my neck, so it's still soft. But yeah, this is what I'm wearing. I have 2 FOs, and they're cute and they're little and they're not quite dry. So I've already made 2 of these hats, but I made 2 more. So this is the Rail Bear beanie. Oh, I forget who makes this. I'll have it in the description box below. So I have 4 friends having babies. One of them already had the baby, and she sent me a picture of the baby in the hat. It was so, or the little boy in the hat. It was so cute. Oh, it killed me. But he was a preemie, and the newborn size hat fit him pretty perfectly, which made me a little nervous that like some of these kids come out a little bigger. These hats might be snug. But so I made a hat for the one that already delivered and the one due in December. There's one that was due in October and she's past due now. she's like, she can pop any day now. No, yeah, she was October. Anyway, so she's due any day now. And then I have 2 more that are delivering in December and January. So this is the one for the January baby, who we think is probably going to come early. So this is, I think, out of some leftover sweet fiber. It's the cashmerino base. I love this pattern. So in the past, I had a bunch of friends who had babies, and I made them a similar hat to this, but you knit the whole hat first, and then you sew the ears on. And so it was so fiddly, and I hated it. You would knit one ear side flat, and knit the second ear side flat, seam them together, turn it inside out, and sew it on the hat. And it was just, it was frustrating because they weren't symmetric. I could never find the right spots to sew them on so that they laid right. And so I saw this pattern where the ears are built in, and I knew I needed it. And I love this pattern. This one took me 1 evening. This one has a funny story. So this is for the baby who's due any day now. Obviously these are not the same size, because I had a similar yarn or color to this that I was planning on making this one with, but I picked out the ball of yarn when it was dark, and instead of grabbing the pinky rose colored fingering weight yarn, I grabbed a DK weight. And I didn't notice it until I was like past the ears. I was getting towards the back of the hat, and I was like, why is this thicker? This one just, it wasn't as easy to knit on those needles. And it's because it was a DK weight yarn. So it's a little bit bigger, but the irony is, the kid this is for, all of her siblings have bigger heads. So I think it's gonna work out. But this is out of some Earl Grey fiber I have, and this was actually from a sweater quantity that I have in here. You can't really see that. It's called Sweater Weather, and I love it. So yeah, so those are my FOs. I actually have the baby showers. Well, one of the baby showers tomorrow, and then the one who's gonna pop any day now is the one organizing it. So, and this one's still kind of damp, so I need it to dry. But that is it as far as FOs go. I have one downstairs that is going to be an FO today, but it is a gift, and I don't know if the recipient watches this or not. And so I may record a little video once I finish it and it's blocked and everything. And then after Christmas, I'll include that in a video. But anyway, so I have a big stack of whips. I literally just have a basket of whips down here. So let's start with one y'all have seen before. It's my dad's Christmas sweater. It's a mess. So this one has a bit of a deadline and a lot of my hair on it. So I've made progress. I got about 7 inches on the body, and then I ran out of yarn. Well, it didn't run out, but that ball ran out. I got tons of this yarn. So I decided to go back and start the sleeves. But so I've gotten like an inch of this. I don't even know if I've done a decrease. I don't think I've done a decrease yet. I haven't. Okay, well, I thought I'd gotten further on the sleeve. This yarn is Duram Natura Cirano. Hope I said that right. Anyway, brain just, this is a Aran weight yarn, and my hands do not like it. I think I probably would like it better if I was knitting at a looser gauge, but this is a fairly tight gauge. And it's just, there's only so much of this I can do at a time. I actually really pushed it 2 weekends ago, really pushed it trying to get more of this done. And I thought I was okay until I got to work on Monday and my thumb hurt while typing. And I was like, ooh, that's a bad sign. So this kind of went in timeout while I worked on other projects, but we're doing our family photos on the 18th, and it's the one time both my parents will be in town before the holidays. And so I need them to try them on and make sure they're long enough. And so my mom's is ready to go. I haven't done anything with that since I showed it last time. But my dad's, I thought, okay, I really would like to get the sleeves at least to the cuff, like where it would start the cuff, and then have him try it on. Now I know the body is not long enough, but I can measure that and kind of get a good estimate of how long he would want it. So I'll just bring my measuring tape and kind of, he'll probably be wearing a sweater for the pictures, and so I can kind of like see how that sweater hits him and then figure out how much more knitting I need to do on the body. But I like the idea of getting the sleeves done before he tries it on, because then I can make sure I'm knitting them long enough. And it also, I think it makes it alters the fit of the sweater too, because I don't know if any of you found this, when you knit a sweater top down and you haven't done the sleeves, you try it on and it's a little too short, whatever, you knit it longer, and then you go back later and you add the sleeves, and sometimes it kind of pulls the sweater up. I think sometimes it kind of drags it down, but it does kind of change the height of the body. And so I wanted to get these done before next weekend. That's the goal. So that's kind of, once I finish the gift knit today, this is going to be, I don't want to, but this is going to be the next thing I work on. It's just 2 sleeves and then some body. I can do it. But, and then it will be Christmas and he will have this sweater and it will be out of my life, as well as a lot of the yarn. So let's see, let's show another. Yeah, this will be the last one that you guys have, nope, this will be the last one you guys have seen before. I'm just gonna knit straight, not slouch. This is my, oh, I was in the middle of a row. This is my church sock. It is, I'll just finish this little row real quick. So this one I only knit on when I'm sitting in church or when I'm waiting for things. It is a delightful change of pace from that Aran weight sweater because it's fingering weight. There we go. I'm almost at the toe on this sock. So this is from Nomadic Yarns. This is Practical Magic, and I love it. It is so fun. I love that like fuchsia pop in there with the lime green and the navy and all the oranges. I even like the brown in this. When I first got to the brown stripe, I was like, but it works. It works. So almost done with sock number 1. This one will probably take a back seat for a minute while I work on other things. But I'm excited. I gotta get on socks, man. I gotta get done with some gift knits. Okay. I have 3 more whips, and I don't think you guys have ever seen any of them. Maybe one of them. Maybe. But okay, so I had to buy some extra yarn for my gift knit. But I only needed 1 ball. And I was buying it from Purl Soho, and I just kind of like, it kills me to just buy 1 skein of yarn, and so I bought more than 1. So I wanted to try out a new yarn from them, and all their yarn was 25% off, which was great. So I tried some of their Yonder, and it's 50% alpaca, 50% Highland wool. I mean, you can tell it has alpaca in it, and it's like a worsted / Aran weight, but it's so soft. So I got it in 2 colors. I got it in smoky mauve and Stillwater blue. And I got this thinking I would knit hats. So I started a hat. It's kind of pitiful right now. That's it. That's the hat. And it's I question this pattern. So this is the lovely ribbed beanie by Purl Soho. And they have a version of it that is knit in linen quill worsted, which they no longer make. And this is a worsted weight. And so I was like, okay, I'll substitute it. That's what I'll use. It'll be great. But here's what confuses me about this pattern. So when you look on the worsted weight pattern, it gives you like a size 5 needle and how much yarn you're going to need and your gauge. And then it tells you just go back to the other pattern, the regular Lovely Rib beanie, and use that, just change out your needles. Okay, so they have 3 sizes. The other one is knit on a size 2 needle. And there's no difference in the number of stitches you cast on. And so it's a free pattern. But for the adult small, you're supposed to cast on 128 stitches, which I'm sure is fine when you're using a US 2. But when you're using a US 5, that's big. So I've already cast on 16 stitches less, so I did 112 because the brim decreases or crown decreases are in multiples of 8. But I still feel like this is too big. And I know it's ribbed, but this is also alpaca, and so it's not going to have tons of memory. So my thought was I'll get like a couple inches into this, and if it feels like it's way too big, like I have a big head. If it's too big for me, it's way too big. So if that's the case, I may go back and just cast on the child size instead. And yeah, so this is probably going to be my church knitting for now because I would like to get this done by Christmas. So it's just 2x2 rib. It's not hard. So yeah, that's this one. I have enough. I wasn't sure how much I would need of this because I think this is like 140 yards per 100 grams. I guess I could look that up. It is 140 per 100 grams. Yeah. So, I don't know, this was probably enough for a hat. So I probably have enough in here to make 4 hats. Oh well, it's lovely. I like it. This would actually make a really good cowl too, because it's so soft. So let's see. Okay. I'm gonna move all my stuff in the basket here. I'm in the process of Marie Kondoing my house, doing one room every weekend. I've now downstairs, I've done the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, the bathroom. And today, or this weekend, I'm doing my office. And it is daunting because my office is kind of like the junk drawer of my house. I don't know why I'm thinking of this now. But anyway, I was thinking like, this basket was one of those things that like as I was cleaning out, I found it and I forgot about it. Or I'd forgotten about it. And so it's like, oh, this is nice. I will say too, I also think this has been really helpful to do this like clean out thing right before the holidays because I'm not a hoarder. I like to be prepared for snowstorms. That sounds ridiculous. I have a bizarre fear of running out of things, and when I can't remember if I have it or not, I just buy it. And what that means is I have 4 tubes of toothpaste in my pantry right now, or my linen closet. So things like this, and I've been like shopping for the holidays, and I'll find something really cute, and it just hits me like, you have 4 of those at home. You don't buy more. So it's been nice. It's been helpful. Okay. So next thing, this is a very long-term whip. I actually don't know when I started this. It was a while ago. So this is a blanket. I kind of talked about this last time. I'm just going to kind of hold it up. So this is the Mitered corner blanket by Purl Soho. Ugh. And it is in this wonderful like fade gradient thing. It's so fun. It's so fun. So, okay, this has a story. So, here, let me show you. this is a free pattern too, so I'm not giving anything away. But so they give you this schematic. And so this is how many squares. So it's a total 192 squares. This is for the like the full size, not for the crib size. And it's a kind of like on the bias fade. So they do it, they sell kits for it, and it's all linen quill. So they sell these kits you can buy, and it corresponds, the letters in here correspond to the colors. I didn't like their fade, and so I wanted to make my own fade. And so I actually went through with yarn that I, like some linen quill that I already had, and created my own gradient. And then figured out how many skeins of each one I would need, and I bought all of that. And that was, this is probably in 2021, I think, that I did this, which is why I have a whole shelf of linen quill. And so there are, you probably can't see this because it's too faint, but there's 12 columns, and each column has 16 squares in it. And so my idea was I would do one column for every month. So I would do 16 squares in every month. I started it in January, and I abandoned it at the end of March. So I got my first 3 columns in and then quit. And then it just sat for a long time. And I had everything organized. I'm doing it on straight needles, which I had. I have all the yarn, not all the yarn, but all the colors I needed for the next column wound up. I had my schematic. I even have my little colored pencil to color in my squares after I finished them. I just didn't do it. So I picked this up recently, and it's been so fun. So I've done 4 squares. What's interesting, so you pick up as you go, but the very first square of every column is an absolute pain in the butt. I'm just gonna say it. I really hate the first one of every column, because you essentially have to purl the entire thing, and it's like, it's different than every other square, and it's not fun. Everything else, very intuitive, very simple, very easy to memorize. So so I just did this last square, was all in pink pop, and then my next one will be pink pop and poppy red. And those look good. Then I'll have 2 poppy red, and then I have poppy red, and I forget sweet potato. And yeah, so it's going to end up, so it's kind of, so it starts with this celadon, and it's going to go through all these pinks and reds, and then it's going to go into like almost this color, like into a gold. So this is just kind of the in-between project. It's wonderful. It's huge. It's so fun. It's going to be so nice when I'm done with it. And it's so warm and cozy. It's so nice. And it folds up really nice too, which is also good for storing it when you forget to work on it. But anyway, so that's a long-term whip, but it's hanging out in the basket, and I will work on it. But that one I did those 4 squares, and then I kind of realized I had some deadlines, and I decided to put the brakes on that for a little bit so I could get some of my other stuff done. But let's see what I'm not sure exactly. I think it's just because I'm doing a lot of gift knits right now. I kind of felt like I need something for me. I need something simple. I need a top-down raglan. That is what my heart wanted. So I started one. Actually, what kind of got me thinking about doing this was I have a sweater, this one. So this is my Monday sweater from PetiteKnit. It is knit in Durand Natura Ulysse. And this is my most worn sweater. Hands down, love it to pieces. It's so soft, it's so warm, it's so snuggly, it's so covered in my hair. Goodness. I mean, I guess I wear it, but it matches almost everything. I love it so much. And I just kind of, it hit me. I was like, I need more of these. These are my go-tos. And instead of buying more of this yarn, which I will do eventually because I really like it. Sorry about that. Our test tornado siren went off. And it's very loud. They test it every Saturday at noon. So what I was trying to say is, so instead of buying more yarn to make that sweater, and I decided to use some yarn that I already had and just be a good user of all the yarn stash. So this summer my friend Cecilia went to visit her family in Norway, and I had some yarn shipped to her brother's house and she brought it back for me and I was very pumped. So I've shown this before, but this is the Hillesvåg Tinda and it is absolutely lovely. I was a little worried that this would be kind of scratchy, but it's really not. I mean, it's rustic for sure, but it's, sorry, it's really struggling to find my face. It's rustic, but it's actually surprisingly soft as well. So I cast on another Monday sweater. Where's the back? Using this. So I'm at a weird spot right now and I have it on too big of a cord. So maybe if I do that, that'll help. So I'm not super far into it, but that's it so far. I did a folded collar, which oh, it's so nice. I love it so much. I'm still in my raglan increases, obviously, but this is just, oh, it's so nice to work with. I love it. So this is kind of my reward for finishing my other gift knits. I also had this in my car one day at work and I had like a surprisingly less busy day at work, which does not happen very often, but I brought this in to my office and I was actually knitting while reading some articles and it was like, oh, okay, I could do this all day. This is great. So that's a good skill to have, I guess. But normally if I actually bring knitting to work, if I'm anticipating a slow day and I bring knitting to work, it is like pandemonium. So I actually intentionally do not bring knitting to work, but I happen to have this in my car that day. So yeah, so that's my Monday sweater. Oh yeah, so I think I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. So I did a swatch and this is knit on a US 6 and I don't know if you can really tell. I felt like this was too loose. Like you can see me, you can see my sweater behind it. You can see movement behind it. That's after blocking. And it was actually a little too big of a gauge. And so I just went ahead and went down to it's really uneven knitting too. That actually bothers me. It's really, really uneven. What the heck? That's funny. So I went down to a US 5, but to be honest, I forgot and I was like an inch in and I realized I was using a 6 and I was like, ah, crap. So I switched. And I think after you block it, you'll never be able to tell. So that is, for now, it's hanging out in my teeny tiny Rhinebeck bag, drawstring bag. Sorry, brain went numb again. Not numb, blank. But yeah, this is, I did not go to this Rhinebeck, but the Rhinebeck I went to had extras, and so I bought one of these. So that's it for the whips. I have a few acquisitions. So some of the things I bought from the Woolen Folk vendors came in and they're phenomenal. Like, honestly, I'm annoyed I've never bought from these people before. And I will be buying from them again, because heck. So, and then I have a story. So the first thing I got was from PetiteKnit, and it's the Rhinebeck Doodle card deck. And this is just so cool. So I saw this at Flock this year. They had the doodle bar, and I don't think I fully understood what it was, and so I didn't even look at it, to be honest, and I'm annoyed I didn't. But it's literally this card deck, and it's like a choose your own adventure color work. And so I think they have, yeah, so they have cards with like their standard schematic for a cowl or an infinity cowl. And so if you know, okay, how many stitches I'm gonna need per inch, then you can figure out, like, these are all, they tell you how many stitches they're divisible by. I think they're all, excuse me, they're all 24 inch, yeah, or 24 stitch. Goodness, sorry. They're all 24 stitch repeats. So you can just make this, like, I think I have the little thing. Oh. Anyway, so that's their little thing. And they have, let's see. I don't know if I'm allowed to show that, but anyway, so yeah, as long as you have a standard stitch count, you can make your own little color work thing. And I just thought that was really cool. So they have some that are just like little filler stitches. They have like little apples. So fun. I'm not going to show these because, like, all of these, because they are stitch patterns that I paid for. But yeah, so they're in this little deck. So I may do some of that probably after the holidays. But this would be just fun to make like a cute little cowl, little colorwork cowl. So that was the first thing I got. The second thing I got was from Creo, which I've seen that name. Like, all of these, I've seen those companies before. I don't know if I've ever seen them vending. The Doodle Bar one I did. But this one, the next two, I don't know that I've actually seen them at a show. Like, I've only been to two, but they both had some kind of unique bases that I'd never heard of before, and so, or never tried before. And like, so this one, I kind of just went crazy. So this is the Twisted Sister base. It's a fingering. It's 490 yards. Dang, that's a lot of yardage. It's 85% merino, 15% mulberry silk. So the first one I got is called Rusty. Come on, focus. There we go. Rusty. And the next one I got is Midori Sour. Aren't these so fun together? This one's a little darker in real life. It's showing a little pale, but this one's pretty accurate. Maybe it's because I had the bright one next to it. That's more accurate. These are soft, like so soft. And I was just thinking these would make such a cool pair of socks, or even a muscle burra. It'd be so fun. There's so much yardage on these. You could even hold them double and do a DK weight something. You have almost 500 yards if it's held double. It'd be like fun striped. I just think this would be so cool. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with them yet, but I love that it has silk in it. The reason I thought about socks is because silk is so strong, and so I feel like even if you don't have nylon in it, if you have silk, they're gonna hold up. So it might be worth a try. But yeah, these were some very happy mail. It was just a fun day. And then the next one is from Camellia Fiber Co., which I've seen that name, but I've never bought from them before, and I don't know what I was thinking. This stuff is insane. I don't think I've ever touched softer yarn. I mean that. I think this is the softest yarn I've ever touched. So this is their Sylvan Fingering. It's 70% alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. And it's 437 yards per 100 grams. So I got the natural gray, which is an undyed base, and I got moss. And like, just to give you an idea, like they are so drapey. They do not hold their shape. They just drape. It's so soft. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is like next to skin everywhere, kind of like there's absolutely no itch in these whatsoever. If you can't wear this, then you just can't wear clothes in general. It's just so, oh, and they're so beautiful, like these beautiful pastels. Like, I've heard people rave about Camellia Fiber Co. before, and I haven't tried them, and now I get it. Like, this is nuts. I do kind of, like, there's part of me that's like, ooh, I don't know how well this is going to hold up. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever knit a sweater in alpaca. I don't know that I mean, obviously I don't have enough for a sweater, but like, I don't know if I have. I've did like Surrey alpaca, but I don't know that I've ever knit something with 70% alpaca, so I don't really know how it's going to wear. Like, is this going to pill like crazy or not? And it has that silk in it. I don't know. I also don't know what to do with this. So I've got buzz in my mouth. I've got almost 1,000 yards of this, a little under, like 900 yards of this. What should I do, guys? What should I do? I don't think I want to make socks, and this is too precious for socks. I mean, I could do like a color work hat. I could just knit a plain hat. Like, oh, this would be so, I mean, I guess I could make a, I gotta stop talking about muscle burrows. I like the muscle burrow. I'm not gonna knit 15 of them. I'm just not. So if there's another good fingering weight hat, this would be phenomenal. Phenomenal. I don't want to knit this in a rib either. I want this to be like stockinette or color work. Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice. I'm sorry, I'm a little obsessed with it. Okay. So that's what you get for rubbing yarn all over your face. All right, so I have one more acquisition on its way. It'll be here Monday. So at Woolen Folk this past year, not Woolen Folk, Flock, very different. At Flock this last year, I had my first taste of Explorer Knits and Fibers. Wonderful, love them, they're great. I love their colors. I have like 3 or 4 orders from them on the way. But I don't know what I was thinking when I went to their booth. I had 2 colors I wanted. I wanted a sweater quantity. I did not buy that. I bought a sweater quantity for someone much smaller than myself. And it's irritated me ever since then. So I got these 2 colors, Scumwall and Pike Place. And this is in their Rockies DK, which is the superwash merino DK, and if these were going to be a sweater, they are going to be a sweater. So I have 3 of these and 2 of these, and that's enough to make a lento, but really nothing else. And it's kind of annoying because this is so soft, and I wanted this to be in a thicker gauge or tighter gauge than the lento, but I couldn't make it work with what I had. And so I kind of, in the back of my mind, thought, okay, maybe, sorry, I don't know why I keep burping. Maybe they'll come out with a new collection and it'll be something that would pair well with these, and I could add another stripe in, and that would get me enough. But I really wanted it just to be these 2. And then I don't know why I started craving this, but I wanted a sweater that was oversized, kind of chunky, striped, with a big loose turtleneck. And I was looking through Ravelry trying to find something, and I realized I already own a pattern that does this. It's PetiteKnit's Chestnut sweater. And some of the people who knit it did it with stripes. And so it's the main color in me would be pink, would be the pink. And then I would have red stripes kind of starting here, going down and on the arms. But then everything else would be this color. And to do that, I would need 2 more of these. So I couldn't do it with what I had. And I was, so annoyed. Then Allie posted the list of all the yarn that they had left over from Woolen Folk this year that they were going to post. And they had 3 skeins of this in DK. It was a different DK. It's in their earthy DK, which is non-superwash. But I don't care. So I set multiple timers. I was ready, and the second it opened, I scooped up 2 of them. I left one. I wasn't a total yarn pig, but I got 2, and I managed to snag them, and they're on their way. They will be here Monday. So I would have liked to have this. To be honest, I would have liked one more skein of this, but that's okay. I will deal, because I think it's still gonna look so cool for the main sweater to be this beautiful pink. And then to have this pop in it, I think will be so fun. And I'm just absolutely thrilled that I'm gonna have enough to make that sweater and to make it oversized. It's just, makes me so happy. So I need to finish things so I can work on that, but I also thought, I always do a sweater. I always knit myself a sweater during PetiteKnit, which is the week between Christmas and New Year's, also called the Daft Days. Thanks to Rebecca for that, Rebecca Clow. So I always try to knit an entire, sorry, do I do that? No, it's not during that time. Is it? Yeah, it's that time. I was thinking, it's like, no, I want to get it done by New Year's. So I try to knit an entire sweater in a week. Now, for an oversized DK weight, that might be asking a bit much, but I want to try it. And so I might wait until Christmas to cast that on. That would give me time to finish up. I have so many whips. I have things that I'm not showing because I haven't made any progress on them. Like, I still have my Gallus scarf. I have my Mudo sweater, which is still patiently waiting. I have that blanket. I have another cowl that I really want to finish. What else do I have? I have my shift again. It's just waiting for sleeves. So I have a lot of things. I also have a secret Chestnut that I can't talk about or show that I need to fix the sleeves on. And so it just, like, I have so many other things, and there's no way I'm gonna get them done by New Year. I have no intention of trying that. Kudos if you do that. That's awesome. That ain't gonna be me. But anyway, I would like to clean up some of them before I cast this on, and I think that's a good carrot to use. Now I'm also anticipating that the pinks that I get will be a little different, maybe even quite a bit different. I don't know, because they're different bases and they're definitely different dye lots. So I think, though, because I'm gonna have stripes, I can kind of hide those changes in there, or maybe do like all of one color from here up and a different color below. I'm not worried about it. But anyway, so that's the plans. So I'm eagerly anticipating that. I have a lot of yarn from Explore Knits and Fibers on its way, like a lot of pre-orders. So I've got that. This will be here Monday. I've got the Stick Season pre-order, and I've got a couple skeins from the Spain pre-order. And I think if everything goes to plan, I will make my final loan payment before Christmas. So I will actually be out of debt by Christmas, which is just insane. Now, what sucks about that is that I will have used up all my money for that month. And so I can't celebrate by going and buying stuff, but that's probably for the best. So I'll get to spend my PetiteKnit debt free, which is like the best Christmas present ever. And then I will probably buy more yarn. But anyway, that's it. That's all I got for today. I will definitely, yeah, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Now for us, that's like the weekend after Thanksgiving. And I don't know, my parents might be staying with me, so maybe I'll get my mom to do a segment. She just finished her second Tolsta, so maybe I'll make her show that off. But it might be a little chaotic. I'm the oldest kid in the family, and I am the control freak, but in a good way, I think, because I want to control the environment so that everybody has the best time. So one of the ways that manifests is I cook everything on Thanksgiving. I genuinely enjoy it. Like, I actually enjoy cooking all that. But I want it to be good. And so I do everything. But that does mean that the day before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving are a bit chaotic. And this year we're actually having the meal at my sister's house. So I'm going to be at her house cooking pretty much the whole day. So we'll just see. I should have time to film. But then I was thinking maybe. So last year, I'm not doing Vlogmas. It's not happening. I ain't got time for that. But I may do weekly episodes again. If that's something you would be interested in, let me know. They would be shorter, probably. We'll see. I have a few advents. So I have an advent I made for myself back in February of all yarn I already had, but it's been hiding since February. I also did an advent calendar swap with a viewer. And I'm really hoping, I shipped mine 2 weeks ago and I'm really hoping it gets there. I'm gonna be like a little bit heartbroken if it gets lost in the mail, but I have hers already. So I'll do that. And then I did the Woolens and Nosh sock advent, which this is my 3rd year doing it and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You basically knit one stripe on a sock every day. And I do them 2 at a time, which means I need to find those needles. But yeah, so I'll have stuff to show in that way. I will hopefully be done with all my Christmas knits by then. So, yeah, so I will try. Now, I did also say at the beginning, I have 2 20-mile runs in December. And I'm slow, so those are going to take me a minute. So those, and I run on Saturdays, so those days there's a chance I may skip out on those days. Or one of the other solutions is I may film on a Friday and then still have it posted on a Sunday. It's just an idea. So let me know if you want me to do those weekly episodes in December. If not, it's cool. I'll just keep it the same way. But sorry, I thought it was my dogs for a second, but they are in the backyard living their best life. So yeah, anyway, sorry, squirrel. So I hope you guys have a good, sorry, I saw a neighbor. Still have to resist the urge to duck and hide every time I see somebody walk past this window. I've gotten better though. I didn't actually duck and hide. Anyway, I hope you guys have a really good couple weeks. I hope you get lots of time for knitting and relaxing, doing things you love, hanging out with people you love. And I will see you back in 2 weeks. Bye.